Onto the other big story that we're focusing this hour, Rajasthan Chief Minister has quoted controversy for linking rape-related murders to punitive action taken against culprits. Now, his remark has garnered a strong reaction from various quarters of the society. The senior Congress leader says that due to law on the hanging of culprits after the Nirbhaya case, the incidents of murder of rape victims have increased, adding that this is a dangerous trend being seen in the country.
निर्भया के बाद में जो कर दिया कि आपको फांसी सजा मिलेगी, ठीक है। उसके बाद में हत्याएं बहुत ज़्यादा होने लग गई बच्चियों की। रेप करने वाला देखता है कि ये तो गवाह बन जाएगी कल मेरे खिलाफ में, तो वो रेप भी करते हैं और हत्या भी कर देता है बच्चियों की। ये बहुत बड़ी चलन पूरे मुल्क में मैं देख रहा हूँ, जो रिपोर्ट आ रही है वो बहुत खतरनाक ट्रेंड है।
जो रेपिस्ट है, जो जघन्य अपराध करते हैं, रेप करना किसे कहते हैं? कि बच्ची का रेप हो रहा है, नाबालिग बच्ची का, तो उसको मालूम है कि ये बच्ची कल गवाह देगी मेरे खिलाफ में, तो मुझे फांसी की सजा हो जाएगी। फांसी से बचने के लिए वो उसका मर्डर कर देता है। मैं तो खाली हकीकत बताई जो देश में हो रहा है। उसको लेके बीजेपी वाले जो करते हैं नई बातें हमारे लिए, वो ऐसी उलझुल बातें भी और कोई फेक बना के वायरल करते मीडिया में, नई बात नहीं उनकी। तो मर्डर पहले कभी नहीं होते थे, इक्के दिक्के होते होंगे। समाधान अब तो जहाँ सुनते हैं, ये सुनते हैं कि जैसे ही कोई रेप भी हुआ और देखते हैं बच्ची मर गई बेचारी।
We also have a reaction from Nirbhaya's mother, Asha Devi, who slammed Ashok Gehlot for his comments. She's even sought his resignation. Listen in.
देखिए, जो राजस्थान के मुख्यमंत्री साहब ने जो बयान दिया है, ये बहुत शर्मसार बयान है और बहुत दुख पहुंचा है इससे, खासकर मुझे और जो भी ऐसे परिवार होंगे, ऐसी बच्चियां होंगे उनको, क्योंकि उन्होंने एक तरह से इसका मजाक उड़ाया है, निर्भया का मजाक उड़ाया है। मैं उनसे यही पूछना चाहती हूँ इस चैनल के माध्यम से कि निर्भया के साथ जो घटना हुई उस टाइम उनकी सरकार थी, उनका बनाया हुआ कानून था। अब 50 सालों शायद किसी रेपिस्ट को फांसी नहीं हुई होगी 50 सालों में, फिर हमारे निर्भया के साथ ऐसा घटना क्यों हुआ?
In order to talk about this and deliberate on this issue, I'm being joined by Shamina Shafiq, former member of the NCW, as well as Rekha Agarwal, advocate at the Supreme Court. In fact, we'll be joined by Rekha Agarwal in just a moment. I'd like to come to you, Shamina Shafiq, first. The Chief Minister here says that the fact that laws have become stricter and the fact that courts can now award death penalty, it's leading to rapists actually killing their victims. Effectively, the impact of what was intended is actually reverse. Where do you stand on this?
You know what Mr. Ashok Gehlot said, I think this needs to be really researched and brought to the eyes of the public in general, because we really need to know this. I think NCW should initiate a research on it, first of all. The second thing is, in 2012, when Nirbhaya, unfortunate case of Nirbhaya happened, and these amendments were made after the recommendation of Justice Verma Committee, there was a debate nationally whether, capital punishment should be allowed or not, whether it should be incorporated or not in the rarest of the rare case of rape. Right. Now, after a lot of debate, it was a national debate, and yes, there was a section. In fact, as a senior lawyer, as senior as Mr. Ram Jethmalani, he had also said, no, if you put capital punishment, then girls or women are going to be killed, because then the rapist is going to think that if I'm going to be recognized by the person whom I'm raping, I'll be punished for capital punishment. And probably that was the concern which Mr. Ashok Gehlot is trying to say. Now, the fact of the matter is that only Nirbhaya's criminals were actually hanged to death. Otherwise, no other such case has happened even after 2012, wherein the rapists have been hanged. Now, the fact of the matter is that the number of rape cases are increasing day by day. I can tell you a case in UP, in my home city, Sitapur. Only a week ago, there was a minor girl. She was gang raped and then she was killed. And then acid was poured on her body so that she's also not recognizable. Yesterday only I went to meet the family of the girl, and the relatives were saying that had such stringent law not been in place, probably they would not have killed my daughter. This was the statement given by the relatives of the girl. So how do I put it into context? The fact is this, that unfortunately, despite of having such stringent laws in this country, we are unable to fix this problem. And the reason is there is no cumulative action. You see, Nirbhaya Fund, where it is getting utilized, how it is getting utilized, we don't know. What is the status of the FIRs which have been registered in rape cases, whether the charge sheet are being filed in the stipulated time or not, we don't know. What is the scenario as far as the pendency of rape cases are concerned in district courts or high courts, or for that matter, the Supreme Court, we do not know. Then we also do not know, and I mean, I'm talking about the case which have been reported, but all of us know that there is a whole lot of cases which goes unreported, and they go unreported because the families fear that if they are going to report the matter of rape to the police, they are going to be harassed by the police. I mean, there's a lot of police apathy. We know, as a former member of NCW, I can say this with full sincerity that yes, I mean, apathy of police, especially as far as crime against women is concerned, is so high that parents are afraid of even going and reporting the cases in most of the times. So, I mean, this is a national debate. We can discuss about it, whether this is right or not. But I think it needs to be researched. And this is not the first time that a chief minister, or for that matter, anyone is saying. This has been a debate at the national level, even in 2012. And we should not forget that it was only the UPA government, then UPA government, which, despite of all the opposition against the capital punishment, we actually had the amendment, and capital punishment in the rarest of the rare cases was actually put in place. So this is actually the scenario.
So, Shamina Shafiq, if I understand what you're saying is that you don't really disagree with the Chief Minister, because you're saying that the laws are there. There is apathy towards the victims. However, implementation is a problem. So effectively, what the Chief Minister is saying is something that can be considered to a certain level. I'd also like to get in Rekha Agarwal, advocate of the Supreme Court at this point. Let's get another perspective on this. Ma'am, thank you so much for joining us. Now, like we were talking about when the entire Nirbhaya incident happened and when laws were being amended, there was a lot of talk about how, capital punishment is not the answer to stopping rape. Do you believe that after these many years, after seeing whether these amended rules have worked or not worked, their action on ground, do you think that this is a failed idea of deterrence?
I would just say over here that post Nirbhaya, as my dear friend Shamina also said right now, a lot of stringent laws were passed. There was a very big amendment in the criminal law. There was a Justice Verma committee, all women's organizations and like-minded people, legal experts had sat in the committee to bring out major, amendments to the criminal law. Thanks to the Nirbhaya case, aftermath, there has been a very major change in the criminal law, and the definition of rape has been widened. And a lot of, machinery has been put in place to ensure that there's a speedy justice to the victim, to the survivor, to the rape survivor, justice to the accused, as well as, more importantly, justice to the survivor. But as Shamina said that, despite so many stringent laws being there, the number of cases of rape and sexual assault against women continue to rise day in and day out. Nirbhaya case or a few other cases are just the tip of the iceberg. Those cases which get reported, which catch the media attention. But there's so many cases which just go unreported. So I think that I would probably say over here that capital punishment per se is not a solution to any problem, and as the Constitution rightly provides that capital punishment, death punishment should be given in the rarest of rare cases. And now what falls in the category of rarest and rare category, is of course depends a lot upon the discretion of the honorable judges who are deciding the cases, because what may be rarest or rare for a particular bench may not be the rarest of rare for another bench who's deciding a similar case.
Right.
So all depends on the facts and circumstances of the case. I would say over here that the entire mindset of the people at large has to be changed. We need more sensitive people. We need gender sensitive, the police, the judges have to be more gender sensitive. The prosecution has to be sensitive. The lawyers who are even appearing for the defense, even they have to be sensitive to the fact that, here is a woman who is complaining, who is accusing of being raped. So this matter should be taken in a more sensitive manner. And it is not just about winning a case. It needs a lot of, humanity and a much more humane approach to a case like this. And no doubt that I would admit over here that even despite the Justice Verma committee amendments, the number of sexual cases and violence cases against women have not gone down at all. On the contrary, there was a spurge of cases. Probably they just got reported and the media was reporting them and the police was also being sensitive in reporting them. But still, as a lawyer who is, there in it, right at the center, and who's dealing with such cases, I do feel that a lot needs to be done. This is not just a case of a BJP versus Congress, comment. I think that we have to take this in a more sensitive manner. I'm not here just sparring against Ashok Gehlot comment what he said. I would just probably just set it aside. I would rather like to ignore it because I'm more concerned about a very, very major, grave issue that a country is battling with, and that is absolute inhumanity, insensitivity to women's issues at large. Those needs to be addressed. The mindset of the people has to be changed. We need speedier courts, fast track courts have to be set into motion. You'll recall that there was this Jodhpur case, of a foreigner who had accused a taxi driver of, committing rape upon her, and that case was decided in probably about 60 days or 90 days time. That case was decided. And the rapist was given the right punishment that he deserved. So why can't all cases where women are complaining of sexual violence against them, whether it is rape or any kind of molestation or any such heinous offense, why can't all such cases be decided by fast track courts? I think the need of the hour is not just sparring over whether we need capital punishment or whether we don't need capital punishment. We need speedier justice. The laws are there, but effective implementation of law is not taking place for various reasons. And for that, as I said, the entire community needs to be sensitized. We need to respect women until and unless, our core, the core of a human, of every human person respects a woman, respects a woman's identity. Such cases will continue to rise. Women will get raped and women will ultimately maybe get murdered also. Not because the rape laws, as Justice Gehlot has tried to point out, Mr. Gehlot pointed out, but I actually differ with that totally. No rape laws can lead to murder. They're two different things.
Rekha and Shamina, that's the important point. That's the distinction that I'm trying to make here by, having both of you on our panel, that it's not about the fact that a politician, a chief minister has made a statement, and I'm not even getting into whether it's right or wrong. What we're trying to understand is that he's made an important point which we cannot miss. The fact that while on one hand we have strengthened our laws to a certain extent, but the action that it's having is further putting women who are victims of these at risk. There are a lot of international studies. What we want to try and understand from both of you is that is there a link between death penalty and crime rates? Is there any truth in what, factually, in what the Chief Minister has said? Is there something we can, let's not get into whether he's right or wrong. Let's understand if there is something we can do about this. Because, a lot of international reports say that most of the countries have abolished death penalty as in law for all crimes. So not many takers when it comes to the notion of, an eye to eye, a tooth for tooth. So when we talk about India, I'd like to take this from you first, Rekha Agarwal. Do you believe that capital punishment is, as an ideology, further putting the victims at risk, and there is something that we need to do about that?
No, I really wouldn't say that. I don't think that capital punishment is putting victims at risk. Not at all. Those are two independent matters. I think my connection. Absolutely, two independent, views can be taken on this. I do not agree that capital punishment is putting the victims at a bigger risk. The threat of capital punishment, that is because, as I said earlier, that capital punishment is given in the rarest of rare cases in any case. So it is not that every rape victim, is going to face the threat of, being killed and that more murders are going to take place, or that the accused is going to, have that fear of capital punishment in his mind. I would say over here that when a person is committing a crime, at that time, I think he loses his senses totally. If it's a well-planned conspiracy, or if it's an on the spot, case that happens of physical violence against a woman, at that time, the perpetrator of the crime, his mind is not telling him that, look, if I do such a thing, I'm going to face the gallows. At that time, this is in fact a matter of criminal psychology. That criminal psychologists will say that at that time, the perpetrator of the crime, his mind is not working to that extent. If such was the case, then no crime would take place, because every crime entails a punishment.
Right.
The perpetrator of the crime at that time definitely does not remember the fact that if I commit this rape crime, if I commit a sexual assault, or if I commit a rape upon a lady, I might end up behind the gallows. I might have to face the gallows. At that time, his mind is not working at all. It is a matter that it probably is more like he's being consumed by the devil totally. So I think that what needs to be done is, instead of just thinking as to whether capital punishment should be there or capital punishment should not be there, we have to have more remedial measures to it, that no person, because I think that we are a civilized country, and in this 21st century, capital punishment should be abolished for every crime, whether it is rape or whether it is murder. I don't think that any civilized society or civilized country of the world will ever, no civilized country will ever stand by capital punishment for any crime, howsoever heinous it may be. An eye for an eye, tooth for a
All right, ma'am, we seem to be having some trouble there with your connection, but we'll try.
We have to try and change the society. We have to change the mindset of the people. We have to change the mindset of the perpetrator. So,
Fair
so
point.
the accused person has to be made ultimately a better person for the society. Just killing him, and giving the punishment would be more like a barbaric and more like a Talibanic act. I do not favor capital punishment at all for any crime whatsoever.
Fair point there. So you're saying that there's a need for remedial measures more than a capital punishment. Shamina Shafiq, we've seen the crime data, crime against women data over the past few years, and this is, in fact, I'm quoting the NCW itself, that there's a 46% rise in complaints in 2021 alone as compared to the last year. So it's pretty much the same for all years. Frankly, stricter laws have not made much difference to women's safety. In the larger context, where do you think is the problem here when, despite strengthening laws, that does not seem to be working out?
You know what? When there were amendments made in the CRPC after Nirbhaya, it was well thought upon that probably this is going to act as a deterrent as far as crime against women is concerned. Now, it definitely did not happen. Now, why it did not happen? I think that is the larger question which needs to be addressed. And there are many factors to it. For example, the first point is that we did not fix our police stations. Because you know what? The fear of the law, the fear of action if I commit a crime is something which is going to act as a deterrent, not the law in place. Whether you are executing or not, whether you are getting into action mode or not, that is a larger question, and which definitely is not happening. After Nirbhaya, what happened? There was an entire system, government system, which said, okay, we are going to do sensitization classes for officers, for not just police officers, but officers pan-India and all government officers. But then it stopped after that. So it cannot be just one of the, step that needs to be taken and then just forget it and move on. No, it has to be something which has to be done continuously. But we did not do it. Then you have laws in place, but do you have funding enough funding, or are you actually spending money to ensure that public at large, they come to know that these are laws which are in place, that in case if there is any crime against women, or for that matter child, or for that matter any such sexual crimes, these are the punishments that you will have to actually face. Look at Nirbhaya case, a long fight of 8 years, and then finally, these people were brought to book. So the kind of pendency that we have in the court cases, the kind of lethargy that we see, especially in terms of policing when it comes to crime against women, that is something which has to be fixed. So in fact, I think I should be grateful to, for that matter, anyone, your channel, to bringing this concept of, to bringing this debate actually, because you know what, unfortunately, only when a girl is raped or something very bad happens to a woman, then only national channels actually debate and talk about women issues or crime against women. So thanks to you that at least we're discussing this issue. We need to fix this up. We cannot wait for another Nirbhaya to happen and then we again start doing something. So we need to fix up everything, our courts, our police station. We need to sensitize people. We need to sensitize youth. We need to also ensure that, the people, especially all those people who are getting into such crime against women, find out their history, what kind of actually movement they are into. You'll get to know they are mostly people who are either jobless, they don't have jobs, they are watching probably blue films on their mobiles, they are having all sorts of different agendas other than going to work or looking after their families. So there are multiple angles to crime against women, and we need to see all of them. So we can't just single out that, okay, because this thing has been said.
Absolutely.
There are going to be people. One last point I want to make.
Yes.
I think, you know what, apart from what the statement Mr. Gehlot made today, and there is, I see a lot of hue and cry, especially in the political circle. But you know what? When a crime against women happens, and the silence of the chief ministers then, or the silence of the home minister or the prime minister then, is actually more harming the society and the women in this country. Because
Absolutely.
that is the point when people have to make their points and they have to say this is wrong. We are not going to take it, irrespective of any political lineage any criminal has. Look at the scenario today. You find some political worker dragging and beating a woman in Bareilly in UP. You find someone doing something in Noida.
Absolutely.
These things need to be actually condemned in the loudest voice.
Absolutely. So out of this conversation with both of you, what we have come to a conclusion is that the problems are multifold. There are multiple angles. There's no, right or wrong to this. The capital punishment part, probably there's a long road to go, and there are too many things that we need to fix first before we get to that part of it. I'd like to thank both of you for sparing time and giving our viewers an insight into this extremely complicated issue. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
On that